A regular house cat accomplishes something extraordinary, rescuing an entire litter of puppies from the neighbor's ruthless dog. But when her owners uncover the real reason behind her fearless act, they are left in stunned silence. Luna was no ordinary feline. Her silky, caramel-colored coat and striking emerald green eyes made her stand out wherever she went. But it wasn't just her beauty that set her apart. Luna possessed a maternal instinct that far exceeded what anyone would expect from a cat. The Carter family, Emily, Jake, and their young daughter, Sophie, took Luna in when she was just a tiny, trembling kitten. They had found her curled up in a discarded cardboard box near a grocery store, shivering from the cold and too frightened to move. Sophie, only 8 years old at the time, was instantly enchanted by the fragile little creature and begged her parents to bring her home. Adjusting to her new surroundings wasn't easy for Luna. She spent her first few weeks hidden beneath the bed, only emerging when the house was silent to grab a few bites of food. But Sophie was patient. Night after night, she lay on the floor beside the bed, whispering soft reassurances and reaching out with a gentle hand. Slowly, Luna began to trust her new family. As she grew, her personality blossomed. She wasn't just intelligent. She was remarkably clever and endlessly curious. It wasn't long before Luna learned how to nudge open doors, flick on light switches, and even drag Sophie's backpack to the front door each morning before school. But beyond her sharp mind, Luna had an extraordinary capacity for kindness. One afternoon, Sophie came home cradling an injured bird she had found on the sidewalk. Without hesitation, Luna took on the role of guardian. She stayed close to the small box where the bird rested, watching over it with unwavering attention. She even attempted to nudge food toward it, as if determined to nurse it back to health. Under Luna's care, the tiny creature slowly regained its strength and eventually took flight once more. Then, during a fierce storm, a nest of baby squirrels was torn from its perch and sent tumbling into the Carters' backyard. Undeterred by the relentless downpour, Luna sprang into action, dashing outside and carefully carrying each tiny squirrel to the safety of the porch. She kept them warm through the long, stormy night until their mother finally returned at dawn. It wasn't long before Luna became a neighborhood legend. Families often stopped by just to catch a glimpse of the extraordinary cat. Children adored her, and the feeling was mutual. Luna thrived on the attention, weaving through their legs and nuzzling their hands in greeting. But then, one day, Emily noticed something strange. Luna had taken to sitting by the window for hours, gazing out with an expression of quiet longing. Her usual enthusiasm faded, and her appetite dwindled. Concerned, the Carters took her to the vet, hoping to understand what was wrong. The answer left them speechless. Luna was pregnant. The revelation sent a wave of emotions rippling through the family. Sophie was ecstatic at the thought of tiny kittens filling the house with their playful energy. Emily worried about Luna's health, while Jake was already planning how they would accommodate the new arrivals. The following days were filled with careful preparations. Sophie assembled a cozy nesting area using soft blankets and pillows. Jake stocked up on nutritious food specially formulated for expecting cats, and Emily kept a watchful eye on Luna's well-being. Then, at last, the big day arrived. Luna retreated to the quiet corner of the shed, instinctively knowing what to do. The family waited anxiously, straining to hear the softest of sounds, low, rhythmic purrs from inside the shelter. Hours passed before Luna finally emerged, moving slowly, her body exhausted but poised with quiet dignity. But something was wrong. There were no kittens following behind her. Jake hesitated before peering into the small nest Luna had prepared. What he saw made his heart sink. Inside lay 3 tiny, motionless bodies. Her kittens had been stillborn. The vet arrived promptly and explained that losing a litter was not uncommon, especially for young or first-time mothers. But Luna didn't understand. She refused to leave her nest, persistently licking and nudging her lifeless kittens as if trying to will them back to life. The Carters were heartbroken for their beloved cat. They tried everything, offering her favorite treats, new toys, and even extra affection, but nothing could pull Luna from her grief. A full week passed before she finally stepped out from her hiding place, but the spark in her eyes was gone. Once full of energy and curiosity, Luna now sat for hours by the window, staring blankly into the distance. Sophie made every effort to engage her, waving her favorite toys and calling her name in soft, cheerful tones. But Luna remained unresponsive. Emily and Jake grew increasingly worried. They consulted the vet again, hoping for advice on how to help their cat through her sorrow. Even Sophie, sensing Luna's distress, began talking to her in soothing whispers, desperate to bring her some comfort. Then, on an unbearably hot summer afternoon, everything changed. Sophie was playing in the yard when she heard an unusual sound coming from beyond the fence. Curious, she crept closer, and what she saw left her stunned. Luna was trotting across the lawn, a tiny, whimpering black puppy clenched carefully between her teeth. Heart-pounding, Sophie called out for her parents. Emily and Jake rushed outside just in time to see Luna gently place the trembling pup on the grass, nuzzling it affectionately as if it were her own. The Carters exchanged bewildered glances. Where had this puppy come from? And why was Luna treating it like one of her lost kittens? Jake immediately suggested taking the pup inside and notifying animal services, while Emily debated whether they should try to find its mother first. But before they could decide, Sophie had already disappeared into the house, returning moments later with an old wicker basket and a soft fleece blanket. Carefully, she placed the tiny puppy inside. Luna wasted no time. She leaped in after it, curling protectively around the small creature. Seeing this, Emily and Jake hesitated. Something about the way Luna cradled the puppy made it clear she needed this. And so, they agreed to let the pup stay, at least for the time being. The following days were filled with equal parts excitement and curiosity. The Carters put up flyers around the neighborhood, hoping to find the pup's rightful owner, but no one came forward. Meanwhile, Luna devoted herself entirely to the little one. She groomed him constantly, curled around him to keep him warm, and, shockingly, began nursing him. Sophie was astonished to see that, despite their differences, Luna was producing milk that suited the puppy's needs. The family's vet was just as amazed, explaining that while rare, cases like this had been documented before. Luna's maternal instincts were so strong that her body had adapted to care for the pup as if he were truly her own. She fed him every 2 hours, even waking up in the dead of night to make sure he was well cared for. Then, on the third morning after their unexpected guest's arrival, Luna disappeared again. The Carters assumed she had gone for a leisurely stroll, as she sometimes did. But when she returned, she was carrying another puppy. This one was slightly larger than the first, its fur just as dark. Luna carried it straight to the basket, setting it down gently before curling up beside both pups. The Carters were baffled. Where was she finding these puppies? Jake theorized that a nearby dog had recently given birth, but, for some reason, wasn't caring for her litter. Emily considered asking around the neighborhood, but before she could, Luna struck again, bringing home a third puppy, then a fourth, and finally, a fifth.
But before we continue, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us. Thank you.
Despite the heartwarming nature of Luna's story, not everything was smooth sailing. Caring for 5 energetic puppies, along with their devoted feline guardian, quickly became overwhelming for the Carters. The cost of food and veterinary care soared, and their once peaceful home had turned into a whirlwind of barking, meowing, and endless cleanup. Tensions started brewing between Jake and Emily as they struggled to agree on what to do next. But it wasn't just their household feeling the strain. The entire neighborhood had taken notice. Some residents murmured about calling animal control, worried that Luna might actually be stealing puppies from other dogs. Jake, already feeling the pressure, began to sense eyes on them at all times. He caught neighbors whispering and casting wary glances toward their house. One day, he even spotted a man parked down the street, snapping photos of their home with a camera. For Emily, the stress became unbearable. She adored Luna and the puppies, but the judgment from their neighbors left her feeling suffocated. Stepping outside felt like walking into a spotlight of disapproving stares. The weight of it all drained her, leaving her mentally and emotionally exhausted. Seeing how much her parents were struggling, Sophie knew she had to do something. Determined to uncover the truth, she set out to track Luna's secret adventures. She spent hours watching from the window, hoping to follow the cat on her next mission. Meanwhile, Luna remained blissfully unaware of the chaos around her. She continued to care for the puppies with endless love, playing with them, and even teaching them feline behaviors. It was a sight to behold. Tiny puppies clumsily attempting to mimic Luna's grooming techniques, swiping at their faces with uncoordinated paws. Then, one evening, when tensions had reached their peak, there was a firm knock at the door. Standing at the entrance was a police officer, flanked by a handful of concerned neighbors. His expression was serious as he announced that he needed to discuss Luna and the puppies. Jake and Emily exchanged uneasy glances before stepping aside to let him in. Their hearts pounded as they braced for the worst. But no matter what, they were ready to defend Luna and the extraordinary family she had created. The officer followed them into the living room, where Luna lay curled inside a large basket, surrounded by her 5 adopted pups. At the sight of this, even the usually composed officer couldn't hide his astonishment. He studied the scene for a long moment before turning to Jake and Emily with a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. "Where exactly did these puppies come from?" he asked. The Carters explained everything they knew, how Luna had brought them home one by one, caring for them as if they were her own. They had no idea where she was finding them, but it was clear she was acting out of love, not malice. At that moment, Sophie, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. She hesitated for only a second before revealing what she had observed. Luna frequently wandered toward an abandoned house at the edge of town. Intrigued, the officer decided to investigate. Jake volunteered to accompany him, leaving Emily and Sophie behind to look after Luna and the puppies. An hour later, they returned, their faces heavy with emotion. They had found the answer. Inside the old, decaying house, they had discovered a weak and sickly stray dog, a mother who had recently given birth but was too frail to care for her litter. The puzzle pieces suddenly clicked into place. Luna wasn't stealing puppies. She was saving them. One by one, she had carried them to safety, knowing she couldn't transport them all at once. Her instincts had told her what no human had realized. These puppies would not have survived without her intervention. Word of Luna's heroic acts spread like wildfire. The community, once filled with doubt and suspicion, now saw her in a new light. The same neighbors who had once whispered behind the Carters' backs now rallied to help. The town's veterinarian stepped forward, offering to treat the ailing mother dog free of charge. Meanwhile, Luna continued to dote on the puppies, making sure they were well cared for while their mother recovered. The story went beyond the neighborhood. As Luna's tale reached the internet, people everywhere marveled at her selflessness. Messages of admiration poured in, hailing her as a symbol of pure, unconditional love. Finally, the day came when the mother dog was strong enough to be reunited with her puppies. The Carters watched closely, unsure how Luna would react. But in true Luna fashion, she handled it with quiet grace. She stepped back, allowing the mother to reclaim her babies, yet she never truly left their side. She remained close, watching over them like a protective guardian, ensuring they were safe and loved. The impact of Luna's actions rippled through the town in unexpected ways. People began to show more kindness, not just to animals, but to each other. The local animal shelter saw a surge in adoptions, with more cats and dogs finding loving homes than ever before. Luna, the once abandoned kitten who had found her way into the Carters' hearts, had become something much greater. She was a reminder that love knows no bounds, that family isn't just about blood, and that sometimes, the most extraordinary heroes come in the smallest, furriest packages.